morning, traders. Welcome to another session of Market Snapshot. I hope everyone is following up on what's happening in the global markets. So much volatility, courtesy of the tariffs. And maybe we want to have a look at everyone who's joining in. Hi, say hi. Yeah, so as we look at this calendar, we need to highlight that every day when you wake up as a trader, you ideally need to look at the economic news that could impact your positions. Remember, this is a business where like anything that is scheduled, and in this case, you're looking at the red folders, would have an impact on your positions, right? So you need to be very wary. You don't want to be caught flat-footed where like you enter the market, you are in profit, and next thing you know, you are in a loss, or you have some super profit and you can't justify it, right? Basically, that's a fluke, right? Umeangukia, right? So it's always good to make sure that you go to forexfactory.com /calendar, have a look at the red folders and anticipate that, hey, by the way, like today, 9 p.m., we'll be having FOMC meeting minutes. There could be some volatility coming in. And then later, we'll discuss about this as we look at could there be an emergency cut, right? Is that a possibility, right? Because we've seen Trump has been pushing for the Fed to cut rates. But then again, as we'll see, there's a concern in terms of inflation. Now, let's look at some of these outlooks. Last week, let's look at last week on Friday, Powell was speaking and was saying that larger than expected tariffs likely to boost inflation, right? So, like, what's an example of these will be yesterday, the 104% on China, right? Why is this impactful? Remember, majority of the goods coming in into the US come from China, right? I don't know whether you've seen reports where like Apple had to ship in 3 planes from India and China full of iPhones and other Apple products, right, to beat the deadline for when the tariffs will be coming in. That tells you that what happens if a company is not able to do that, right? So some of these goods with the 104%, it means an iPhone that was worth $500 is now worth $100, right? 100 or so, 1,000, sorry, 500, $1,000, sorry, right? So that tells you not so many people in the US will afford that. If you look at the major companies like Amazon, some of the products they are selling, companies like Walmart, some of the products they are selling, their manufacturing base is in China. We all know the push that Trump is coming in with, that he wants to bring manufacturing jobs back into the US, right? But in the midterm or in the short term, you'll have a lot of inflation because now you have the tariffs on China products, and most of the US citizens depend on these products. So ideally, we could see inflation going up, the steady increase in prices of goods and services, because of course they have, anyone who's bringing in, so these companies that are bringing in products from China, they have to consider, of course, they'll have paid the tariffs and of course some profit margin, right? Otherwise, what kind of business are they doing, right? So this is what Powell was trying to say, that new tariffs are larger than expected. New tariffs are larger than expected, and the economic fallout, including higher inflation and slower growth, likely will be as well, right? So that's a possibility. But then there was that caution. It's still too soon to know what the right response from the central bank ought to be. Why is this? Because if you look at the numbers, the data came out last week. The employment numbers came out well. Unemployment 4.2%. So literally, there wouldn't be cause for concern right now. But then again, if you look at 2008, the meltdown, and during COVID, right? At some point in time, if things don't go as planned, the Fed will have to step in with quantitative easing or even rate cuts. Right? So those are the things that majority of the traders and investors are looking at and saying there's a whole lot of uncertainty. If you look at the indices, the reaction has been, taking dips, right? And everyone is more concerned. Is this wealth transfer? There's a conversation somewhere where people are saying, could this be some bit of wealth transfer? You know how, like, most of the rich guys have invested in the financial markets, and all of a sudden they're in red, and so there's a new crop of guys coming in. Could this be, the intention of Trump to kill, in quotes, the deep state, right? People like Soros are in the financial market. So these are some of the things that, as traders, that uncertainty by itself is something that we really need to look at. For us, it's an opportunity, right? Because we all know in times of uncertainty, we are going for gold, and that presents an opportunity. As we'll be looking at later, I foresee gold hitting that $400 by end of the year, based on the current uncertainty playing out, right? So that presents us with, of course, opportunities to seek entries on that particular asset. Of course, we also have the Swiss franc also as a safe haven. We also have the Japanese yen, right? So that presents opportunities for us. You just need to have the right strategy. You just need to make sure that you've mapped out your areas and enter the markets when those areas get hit. So remember, we face a highly uncertain outlook with elevated risks of both higher unemployment. Look at this. This is what we've said. If prices of goods and services continue going up, some companies will have to shed off some jobs, right? They'll have to let some people go. Why? Because, I mean, not many people will afford some of these products coming in. And so if it's a factory, let's say, if you're a service center or a supermarket, and last month 100,000 people used to visit your store, and this time around 50,000 or even 20,000 are visiting your store because of the high prices of goods, then of course clearly you'll have to cut jobs, to protect your bottom line, your shareholders, right? So that presents a case that you'll see a lot of people saying, hey, Trump is not doing justice to the economy. But then again, well, we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. Powell says tariffs. This was in March last month. Powell says tariffs could delay progress in lowering inflation. This is what people have been saying, that we've been expecting rate cuts to continue. But then, if you look at some bank like Morgan Stanley, they're saying that there will be no rate cuts based on the inflationary pressures coming in, right? So those are the conversations, the uncertainty once again. But then again, uncertainty is good for us as traders. Now, there's also talk of recession. New tariffs from the Trump administration are raising worries about a recession and could worsen short-term inflation pressures. Analysts say Fed officials may focus on slowing growth and cut interest rates more than previously expected this year to support the economy. So, of course, you can see now Fed officials here saying they will have to cut interest rates. But then again, there's that balance. Inflation is high and you're cutting rates. That will lead to more inflation. So there's a balance that Fed has to come in and make sure that they're able to come up with the right policies to ensure that the economy is back on its footing, right? So this is a global markets plan. As global markets plunge in the aftermath of the Trump's administration sweeping new tariff plan and worries about a potential recession rise, investors are thinking the Federal Reserve may now move faster to cut interest rates. I wouldn't be surprised, once again, based on the title of our presentation, we could have an emergency rate cut. But it all depends on how the market reacts moving forward with a 104% increase. What will happen to other countries? Remember, when we look at China, China is playing the ball game, the long game. Why? Because of Taiwan. Remember, Taiwan is considered the tech capital in terms of semiconductors and all these other things that are now pushing the industry. The AI business is depending more on Taiwan, right? So that raises a question where, like, is China trying to beef up its muscles to try and show that US, you guys, we are going for Taiwan, right? Don't scare us with your tariffs. You can even give us 200%, we don't care. But then again, Trump has been on record saying that China wants to engage, and the earlier they did that, the better. So it's an interesting time in the global markets. And that uncertainty by itself is something that most people don't like, and that's why most people are going to gold, right? They'll want to put their money in gold. So let's see how those some of these things play out as we move forward. And our work is to react to some of these news, make sure that you have the right strategy. More importantly, make sure that you have risk management. You really don't want to blow your account at this point in time, right? Be very careful. Make sure that you don't be greedy. Just use the right lot size for your account, and trade the moves that play out, right? If you hit your target for the day, 50 pips, 100 pips, just walk away, right? Don't come in later in the New York session trying to seek opportunities. No, be contented with what you have. Wait for tomorrow based on a plan, right? Don't trade out of emotions that, hey, opportunities are coming in. Trade based on a plan. Yeah. Plan your trades, trade the plan. So let's look at, with that small understanding, let's have a look at uh, the assets. Let's look at currencies. Let's look at indices. Let's look at commodities. Where are they at? So I'll go to my MT5. Please share your questions. Be handling them towards the end. Okay, so let's look at Bitcoin. Once again, for the longest, this has been the outlook on Bitcoin from my end, right? We saw an area here that was acting as resistance. That played out pretty well. So I'm still waiting for Bitcoin to continue going down to 6,900. That would be my outlook on BTC. UT100. Yesterday we were looking for a bullish push to this area. Price didn't really get there. But then again, we all know what happened after that whole news, right? From China, the 104%. So let's analyze this market afresh. We want to go to higher time frames and have a clear understanding of where the market is at. So I'll still be looking for a bearish push on UT100. Nasdaq could come all the way to this level, 14,897. That could be a possibility. There's another block there, and also the 50 EMA on the monthly. So if we go to lower time frames, yeah, we will see that this presents us. So let's remove some of these. Yeah, so I'll still be looking for shorts on UT100, right? I'll still be looking for sells. A bullish move and then some sells. If UT100 was to test a level here, maybe yesterday's high, it will be an interesting play if it came here, and then from there maybe look for sells all the way as per the daily. To this level, 16,115, right? I surely see UT100 getting to this bottom, right? Could also come to 14,862. Once again, let no one lie to you that they know where the markets is headed. It's all about projections, and it all depends on whether countries retaliate on the tariffs, like we've seen in China's case, and what has happened later, the US doing more damage. So a lot is at play, but if that continues, then we expect further bottoming of this particular Nasdaq. US 500, we were looking for a bullish move, didn't really get there yesterday, but here we are. So let's remove these. Just like we've seen on UT 100, I would probably want to see a bullish push to yesterday's high. Then let's go to the weekly. Looking at the weekly chart, I anticipate price testing this order block on my left, which is a bullish order block, the last bearish candle before a major move up that broke this structure. So that is an area, as long as it has not been tested, it looks like a valid area where we could see S&P 500 come to. So I will still want to see a dip to 4765.6.79. That's an area that I will want to see S&P 500 go to. What about GBP USD? We were looking for buys, and that trade played out well. However, what are we looking at now? Let's go to higher time frames to have a clear understanding. So let's remove all these. I would want to see GU go to this area on the daily. A possible spike to 29.71. Will that play out today? Not sure about that, but let's go with this one. I'll go with this order block as a possible first area of resistance. 29.03, which is around 100 pips, right? So there's a possibility we could see GBP USD rise to this area, and then maybe from there we could look for sell opportunities. So I'm looking at a bullish push. $96 pips push. Right, the market could first test this area. Nothing stops GU from coming to the Asian low, which is the lowest price during Asian session. For those of us who've been attending our classes, the mentorship class, I don't know whether we have a couple of you here. We all know you look for opportunities to buy at different areas, right? So I would probably want to see GU first drop. This is an area I would want to see GU come to before maybe considering a bullish move. At times it will fail to get here, but then you just need to make sure that you just have a plan, right? If it gets there, then that will be a good one for me. So that's GBP USD. What about Euro USD? This is what we were looking at yesterday in our class. Once again, in the mentorship class, we were looking for two areas. A possible area on the Asian low, right? Once again, like we've seen on GU, like the area we want to see a bullish push is on this Asian low. So that is what played out on Euro USD. Price came to the Asian low, which is this area. And then there was a bullish move. So it didn't get to yesterday's low, which was the low of Monday. Yeah, this was also another area where we were looking for opportunities to buy. So price came to the Asian low and there was that bullish push. Going to, let's remove these analyses. Go to higher time frames. Is that analysis still valid? I still think it is. The dollar seems to be taking a beating. So I'll still be looking at that sell opportunity. So what will be the entry like? A test of the low, the Asian low, just like we've seen on GU, I would take this trade if it came to the Asian low. Right, so that means I would want to see EU make that move before considering a buy. Once again, based on our strategy, for those of us who've attended our session, is that you need to make sure that you have confirmation candles. If this trade gets here, you need to look at a bullish engulfing, you need to see a hammer, you need to see a morning star, you need to see bullish tweezers, right? If you see those, then there's a high likelihood that that's a language from buyers, meaning that we are entering buy position. So I wouldn't fall for this move. I would still want to consider it as a I would still want to see a test of this low, basically, right? That would give me a better entry on Euro USD. USD CHF, we were looking for that long position, a sell and then a long position. The buy position didn't play out as expected. The sell did play out. So how many pips move was this? 71 pips. That's a nice move, right? So remember what I've been saying, always book your profits. Never allow a trade move more than 30 pips without booking some money, right? Because in this time where we have a lot of uncertainty, well, a lot could play out. So just have a strategy where you make sure that you're booking money. So what are we looking at on USD CHF? Let's go to higher time frames to have a clear understanding of where we want. Okay, so what really happened was actually USD CHF came, did it test last year's low? Not yet. So remember, one of the areas we also look for opportunities to buy is last year's low. So we can see what USD CHF did yesterday. Didn't get there, but I think that's where we are headed to on this particular asset. So yeah, 83.74. That's like, is it 60 pips? 60 pips from the current market price. This is where most likely USD CHF is coming to. Yeah, so I'll be looking for shorts, but then I would want to see some bullish move before that short plays out. So if USD CHF was to test out this area, 85.12, well, that's too far. That's too far away. Maybe the Asian high, 84.77. If USD CHF was to come up here, the Asian high, then I would be looking for opportunities to sell from that high. Yeah, I'll be looking to sell to 83.74. Remember, we've said 83.74 is last year's low, right? So there's some accumulation of buyers on that particular low, and I tend to feel that, based on this is where most likely USD CHF is coming to. Okay, USD JPY. We were looking for sales on USD JPY. So where is it headed to? We can see some order block that has held. You can see this order block, this bullish order block, which is the last bearish candle before a major move up. So we can see how price has been reacting on that order block, right? First hit, second hit, and now we are in the third hit. I will still be looking for opportunities. Let's remove everything. I believe that order block could be a weak one. So if I were to look for opportunities on USD JPY, I'll probably want to see a test of this high, the Asian high once again, as a possible area where I would be looking for sales. That's around 100 pips. There's something interesting there. There's also a moving average. Let's go to H4 and see whether we can identify an area, a support area. Yeah, so I think Let's look at the daily. Yeah, so price, I would want to see price test 146.34 and then maybe push down to 144.03. That's around 200, 201 pips, 200 pips, right? No, 230 pips. Yeah, so that will be my uh, outlook on this one. So we can clearly see something, a pattern here. It's like we are selling the dollar, right? The dollar is still taking a hit. At least that's what technicals are saying. So our work as traders is what? If this trade gets here, if this trade decides to make this move, you would want to see confirmations, right, on this area, because we've clearly identified that this is a sell area, right? The Asian high. So you want to see bearish engulfing, you want to see a shooting star, you want to see an evening star, you want to see bearish tweezers playing out. If they pull that on this Asian high, then that will be a signal from sellers that they are about to step in. And of course, uh, your first take profit should probably be here. Yeah, the Asian low, or is it last week's low? Yeah, will also be last week's low. Yeah, at 144.57. Okay, gold. Gold, we were looking for that opportunity to go short, didn't play out. What happened later due to China? Of course, there was that bullish move. We can see something interesting based on the beginners class today. By the way, if you're interested in joining the beginners class, make sure that you look at the link below. I'll be sharing it. We'll be learning how these moving averages can help you in identifying positions. This is what we've observed. Look at this trade. If you look at gold from 2024, it's been operating on the 50 EMA, right? You can see the 50 EMA here acting as support. So I expected the same thing to play out here, a possible bearish move to the 50 EMA, but that didn't play out. We could see a possible morning star playing out. Once again, this is traders going to buy gold to protect their wealth. So what are we looking at on gold? As long as there's that uncertainty, I'm still bullish on gold. Remember, I've just said I'll be looking at by end of the year we should probably see gold get to that 400. Yeah, that's a possibility on gold. So for gold, I'm looking for buys, but short term, I'll probably want to see gold test this area, and then maybe we can see a continuation of a bullish move. NZD USD, we had anticipated that it would test this area before going up. That didn't play out as expected. There was that drop, of course, the bearish move played out, but then the bullish move didn't play to script. So let's go to higher time frames to have a clear understanding of where we are at. So NZD USD has tested this low from 2022. Yeah, so this low from 2022 is what has been tested. Yeah, it was tested yesterday, I think also on Monday, right? You can see on Monday when that low was tested, look at what happened on Monday, right? Price tested that area. There was a bullish engulfing and price shot up for around 120 pips. Yeah, so I expect the same to come in. Let's go to higher time frames. Okay, so if I go to lower time frames, I'll probably want to see a small test of this area before going up. Audi USD, we were looking for sales on Audi USD. It hit all our take profit targets. Remember, this was the outlook. We were looking for sales to take profit 1, take profit 2. As you can see on take profit 2, an interesting hammer over there playing out. So let's remove this one. Let's go to H4. The daily to have a clear understanding of where we are at. Monthly, nothing on our left that we can work with. So in such a scenario, you're looking at lower time frames. So you can see an interesting hammer playing out. So there seems to be some bullish momentum. But first, we need to look at entries. So I would want to see, let's go to H1, this area. Being tested. $59.76, huh? If Audi USD was to come here, it will present me with a bullish scenario to yesterday's high. That's 109 pips. So that's what we are looking at. Let me have a look at your questions. Okay, so what are you looking at? Hi, everyone. Yes, so it. Okay, morning. Interesting, Kevin. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's a possible. I was just asking a question. Will we see an emergency rate cut, right? Because we are in uncertain territories, and so the Fed will do everything to protect the economy, right? Uh, Euro JPY, CAD JPY, kindly analyze USD done that. Yeah. Furthermore, is on its own. Yeah, gold. If it was Trump's wish, we should get rid of oil tomorrow, or is it today? We've already done most of this gold, NZD, UT 100. So I think what we have left is what? Euro JPY. I can see Euro JPY, CAD JPY. So let's have a look at that. Euro JPY. CAD JPY. Okay. Save on time. Chat window. Go to H4, daily. Interesting. Euro JPY on my end. Uh, if we go to USD JPY, there's a high likelihood it could follow this particular one. Maybe I will be looking for buys. To that price level. But then again, remember we have this conversation that you don't just buy anywhere. You must have a reason as to where you're buying. So I'm trying to identify a possible buy area on Euro JPY. Yeah. So I'll probably be looking for buys from here to this price level. CAD JPY. Let's look at higher time frames. You see this order block here. This bullish order block, which is the last bearish candle before a major move up that broke structure on the weekly, is an area I've mapped out as a possible area where we could see buyers stepping in. If we look at it from the monthly, we can see the 50 EMA holding this particular trade. Okay, so let me map out these last month's low. There's also an area where you look for opportunities. And of course, H1. Wow, CAD JPY is so complicated. Doesn't seem to have a clear directional bias, but I'll go with the bullish move to that price level. That's it. That's the analysis that we have. Let's see how that plays out. Remember, our work as traders is to just map out your areas, wait for those trades to come to those areas with confirmations, then you can easily enter your positions. Any question that I might have missed out? Well, innocent, will Trump lower tariffs? Knowing Trump, it's all about negotiations, right? What's in it for me? What's in it for the US? Yeah, yeah. Sam, it's all about minerals. I want your minerals. If you want me to bring down my tariffs, give me your minerals. If you want me to lower my tariffs, allow US products to enter your market. It's all about negotiations. Let's look at US oil. Request from Boniface. Oil has been tanking due to increase in supply, and also you see that article we've just seen that the US could enter into recession. Remember, when you enter into recession, it means not much of activity is playing out, and you see some of the factories, businesses, they'll have to depend on oil. So it's an interesting time, guys. With this volatility, let's go to higher time frames to have a look at possible areas. No, we normally say technical analysis is looking left, trade right. Look at historical price data patterns. That's why you can see me going to the monthly to try and figure out if I can see anything on my left, right? Because history repeats itself. So oil doesn't seem to have a clear directional bus. It's still a sell, as long as we are in those uncertain conditions. We are still looking for sells. It will still be a sell for me. Any other question? Think that's it. Thank you guys. Let me share something, right? Well, if you're interested in joining, if you're interested in joining, if you're interested in joining the class, the mentorship and the beginners class, Let me show you. Below this video, you'll see some links, these ones. So from Monday to Thursday, the FX Pesa morning. This is the morning class. This is the mentorship class. Yeah, here it's all about mentorship, risk management, trading psychology, strategy. Why are you dealing with fear? We have that discussion. And then evening class, this is a beginner session, right? What is forex? What is a pip? What is a lot size? And then today we'll be learning a strategy that you can use, a very simple strategy based on the RSI and the moving averages. Yeah, that's it. So if you're interested in this, please make sure that you do that. For notes, if you want to learn how to trade, kindly have a look at these notes, right? Go through them. They're quite important. Yeah, I think that's it. Someone has requested for what? USD card. Let's finalize with USD card. Oh, I'm surprised I hadn't looked at it. Well, so sure we had looked at it. Okay, no worries. USD card, USD card. Let's look at USD card. Okay, let's go to higher time frames. Okay, so USD card looks like it's a sell. However, I would want to see it test maybe this area, maybe this moving average over here, the 200 DMA before dropping. So I would probably look for sells at 42.41. Yeah, 42.41. But then again, guys, remember confirmations. If price gets there, you need to look at your confirmations. If it gets there, and on M15, I see something like a bearish engulfing. I see something like an evening star. I see a shooting star. I see bearish tweezers. I'll definitely enter USD card. Yeah, because you can see it tested yesterday's high today. Yeah, these are the things we learn in the mentorship class, right? If you look at what happened earlier in during Asian session, uh, the trade came here, formed that evening star, and we can see that drop. So if it were to come back and test this area, I'll probably be looking for sells. That's it, guys. Thank you for your time. Be vigilant. Remember, volatility is good, but make sure that you're using risk management. You don't want to blow your account only for you to see good setups the next day, right? And you don't have capital to trade.